Like it.
And we're live. So, everybody, welcome to chapter 28, which, I'm actually thankful that Jake was able to cover for me the past couple weeks. He introduced participles, which is my royal pain in the rear. Participles, I think I napped or something happened, and I just didn't like participles. But I came back in like subjunctive and all that other stuff. I got all that figured out. But participles is like this blaring gap for me. So I've spent most of this afternoon just reviewing in the book, trying to regain my grasp on participles, and I still don't have it. But together we can do this. Um, so I know that you guys talked about it. A participle is sort of it's an adjectival, it's a verbal adjectival kind of mishmash thing. The problem with participles, or I say the thing with participles is that they're overwhelmingly important to understanding the text of Scripture, because participles are used in very, very important ways. And you're going to learn more about those ways in Interp, the class. You're gonna learn more about how participles are used. They can imply function. They can pair with other verbs and create nuances in a sentence that really drive home a point. And what you'll start to do is grow respect for those people that have translated the Bible, the NIV, ESV, NASB, and all those. They really had to labor and think through the way all of these things were pushing a point together. So participles are immensely important. But for right now, we're focusing on the verbal quality of the participle. And so with that, a lot of the translation, a lot of what Mounts is asking you to do is translate it with a sort of temporal mindset. Even though a participle in and of itself communicates more aspect than time, it does not communicate past, present, or future. Rather, it indicates it is very heavy on continuous, undefined action. But just like the present participle, where you could say while doing this or while I was whatever, the aorist participle has sort of the same effect, except for your temporal modifier would be after. So after this would happen. And so looking at the book, it's important to know that the aorist participle is about undefined action. It's not making any statement about the type of action that's happening.
I don't understand undefined. I never really
What?
understood that. I never really understood undefined.
Right, undefined is hard to describe because in English we don't speak in terms of undefined. So take for instance the present tense is defined in the sense that it's talking about a continuous action.
Right.
Undefined is just a completed action. It's not telling you anything about the action.
About when it happens?
Yeah, doesn't tell you when it happens. It doesn't tell you if it's still happening. Actually, it would indicate it's not still happening. But the way Mountains tries to describe it, I'm not sure it's extremely helpful, but he talks about the parade. It's the same parade, but a present tense would be you on the street standing there watching the parade go by.
Mm-hmm.
To you, there's no beginning and end. It's happening right then, right?
Right.
An undefined would be somebody standing on the roof of the Empire State Building, looking down at the parade, seeing the front and the back.
Boom. Okay.
To them, it's undefined. It's just a parade.
Right.
To you on the street, they're parading. They're doing it right now. They're parading. You have an aspect of defining the action of what's happening from the roof of the Empire State Building. It's just a parade. It's not talking about it going. It doesn't care where it is. It sees the front and the back, and that's it.
Got it. Okay, that's helpful.
Does that help a little bit?
Because I thought it was in the past tense, but that's not correct. And he kept saying that, but then I was like, then what is it? So that it's like just a defined action.
Right. Well, aorist would be an undefined action.
Right.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. No, defined would be like present tense. Present tense is a defined continuous action.
Okay.
Whereas an aorist would be an undefined. It's not saying anything about the action. It's just.
It just happened.
It's completed.
Okay.
Done. So aorist in general communicates a past tense because if it's completed just by logic and nature, it's already happened. Right?
Say that again.
I said if it's completed by logic, it means it's already happened. So that means that, I mean, when we're using it in English language, it means that the aorist typically we communicate it as happened in the past tense.
Mm-hmm.
However, participles, in Mount's already tried to steer everyone away from thinking about temporal aspects. He wanted you to think of actually aspect. I didn't mean to say aspect before, but he wants you to think about aspect. The different, the defined, undefined, continuous, whatnot. The participle even more so. The participle is not trying to say anything about time. It's just trying to give you the aspect.
Okay.
So anyway, as we translate, that'll come out a little bit.
Okay.
The participle, the aorist participle, is formed on the aorist tense stem. And we do know that we have a first aorist and a second aorist. So with that being said, you end up with two different sets of participle, I guess two setups. And so the first aorist is going to have, instead of the redupe, and instead of the, instead of the redupe or whatever, the participle does not use a redupe or doesn't use an augment or it doesn't use any of that stuff. It's got a tense formative, sigma alpha for the aorist. It's got the new tau for the participle morpheme, and then the case ending is a 313, remember, for the active?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so lusantes, lusaminoi, and luthantes are the active, middle, and passive. The participle does not carry the augment like it would in the active form. So it is the unaugmented form. Sometimes that can cause issues because a participle can look just like a verb or a noun, I guess, and it can get confusing, especially when you're used to seeing a verb like eilthon, erchomai, when you see elthone with the epsilon, that can be confusing, but you got to be able to recognize that as a participle. It's an unaugmented aorist tense stem.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the endings. First aorist active participle. Just these little boxes below, like if you look at 28.7 on page 260, the top and the bottom, the two paradigms, you've got the boxes below them. These are the important things to memorize because you can build the whole paradigm based on those endings. So sa, san, santas, sa, se, santas would be important to know.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you've got the same thing for the middle participle, and then for the passive.
And this is different from present because the present just has a active and middle passive, where the aorist has a active, middle, and passive.
Right, and that was true in the indicative also. Remember?
Right.
Yeah, aorist did not have a middle passive. Aorist has a middle.
Right.
And an aorist passive is different. Same thing with the future. Future has a middle, but future has a passive that's different.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Present has a middle passive together. But yeah, this is so since you've learned the present, aorist, perfect, imperfect, those parts of the stems don't change. So the fact that present, middle, passive is together, aorist, middle, and passive are separated, future, middle, passive separated, those things don't change. But now we're outside of the indicative, and the participle is going to use that structure, but it's going to make it its own. And so, just like the indicative, you're right, it has a separate passive. So, but the good thing about a participle, and also sometimes the frustrating thing, is that it's recognizable. If you notice that sigma alpha that's in the active, that looks a whole lot like the sigma alpha you often find in the indicative aorist.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And the middle, and even as you look at the passive, the theta, you're used to that, seeing that theta, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're used to seeing that theta in the aorist passive. So that's not surprising to you because you guys are on top of it. You got it figured out. And you know your vocab. You know your vocab. Because this is where those who did not take time to study the vocab, this is where you start hating your life. So you have to know your vocab. Because things start looking too much alike when you get to this realm. You can see that on page 262 we move into the second aorist participle, or the undefined, second undefined participle. And you can see how that differs. Just like in the indicative, you don't need the sigma alpha formative. Rather, because the stem is different, you already know it's second aorist, and you all you need is the connecting vowel and participle morpheme and case ending.
This one can look really hard.
Why is that?
Because it can look like a
What does it look like to you?
verb.
Okay, it can't look like a verb because the endings are too noticeably noun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not, if anything, you're not going to get these confused with verbs. Because these are not verbal endings by any sense or stretch of the imagination. If anything, you're going to get these confused with nouns or adjectives.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, ballone there, I would want to get confused with the genitive plural.
But like with the dative plural, that can get confusing.
Okay.
Usen.
Yeah, you're talking. Hold on, where's that?
On 2812, you have the dative plural.
Okay, Usi. Yeah, you're right. Yep.
But you're saying for the most part, I'm going to get them confused with nouns.
Right. On a majority, I'd say 80%, it's going to be more of a nounal confusion than it is a verbal.
Okay.
But no, you're right. It's there. So the thing that's going to give away the aorist, especially the second aorist, is that not only do you see that the stem is different, so it automatically tells you it's a second aorist, but there's no augment. And if there's no augment, then you automatically know that's a participle. Right?
Mm-hmm. If there's no augment, then you know it's a participle.
Yeah. If it looks like a verb, say you see balusi here, and you go, oh man, that looks like an aorist verb, but that augment's not up front. You know it can't be an aorist verb, right?
Right.
Because if it's an aorist verb, it has that augment. So you're going to look at that and you're going to go, man, that looks like an aorist verb. Oh, but there's no augment. I know what it is. It's participle.
Right.
Right? So it's just that identification system in your head that you've got to work out. Hey, what does this look like? And then you start going through, what can it not be? It cannot be an aorist verb because there's no augment.
No.
It can't be a noun because that's a verbal stem. It's got to be a participle.
Because that's a verbal stem. Right. Yeah. That's not a noun, I know.
Right, yeah, I don't know that noun. Now, sometimes you'll get goofed up because there's some nouns and verbs that look very similar.
Right.
You know, agape and agapao. But, yeah. So, but those even are unique enough that you're not going to, because those are generally contracts. But yeah, so, same thing with the middle and then the passive of the second aorist as well. Okay, the odds and ends, I mean, there's a list in 28.16, which I always took these little lists seriously of the ones that can get you tripped up. I always tried to memorize those so that I didn't get tripped up. Hey, do I see Sharon logged on twice? That's awesome. Welcome, Sharon. Welcome, Sharon. So we've got that list in 28.16 on page 264, and then really you end up with the very end of the chapter with your master participle chart that you're slowly starting to fill up. So, the master participle chart, by the way, is something that you do not need to be able to reproduce, right? I know that we had some issues with the master verb chart, stuff like that, but you do not need to reproduce the master participle chart. However, it may behoove you to know it. Now I see Sharon 3 times. Welcome again, Sharon.
Hi.
Hey, she speaks this. Which one of you is talking? Sorry. Hey, Sharon.
This one.
Okay, got it. Got it. Hey, there it is.
It kept kicking me off.
Oh, well, obviously not totally off, because... Can you see your pictures at the bottom of your screen?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Okay. You're surrounded by your picture. All right, so that, in a nutshell, is the chapter. It's time for us to get down to the nitty-gritty of reviewing what you need to know existentially for this quiz, and specifically answering questions or concerns with the chapter. How are you guys doing with participles?
Not the greatest.
Not the greatest? What's causing you struggle?
I keep forgetting the for the parsing. I keep forgetting to put like whether the gender, pretty much. So.
Yeah, the parsing is something that you guys need to be careful about, because in the parsing, the crazy thing about the participle is that it has both tense and gender. So you got to put both of them. If you only put one, you get it wrong. I think Kate is pretty gracious though with her grading, and she's trying to give you guys like as much partial credit as she can. But
yeah, I think it's just. I mean, just with everything that we learn, like it just becomes. I mean, like, I'm just thinking in terms of translation. Do you normally see participles at the beginning or the end of sentences?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I just guess it's like, okay. Like for example, if you go to like the nominative singular of Luzon, like it's on the paradigm 128.7.
Yeah.
Like when I look at it, I want to be like, oh, that's a verb, but I know it's not a verb because it doesn't have an augment.
Okay, it's a partial verb. It's like a half breed.
Well, I want to think it's like an aorist verb because I'm thinking of sa, salsa, sen, salmon, satay, son.
That's a good process, though, Aaron. But when you don't see an augment,
Mm-hmm.
your mind needs to then shift to. It's very possible that this is an aorist participle.
Right. I don't think I've done enough practice doing that, honestly, with translations.
With translation, yeah. Well, this quiz, you do have a sentence to translate.
How many?
Just one. Just
okay.
one translation. You've got nine vocabulary. You've got two grammatical questions. Well, yeah, a translation, and then parsing. And you've got 5 parsings.
So no, we don't have to fill out paradigm.
What paradigm would you fill out?
The first aorist active.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's part of the grammar. That's one of the grammar questions.
Oh, okay.
Make sure you got that down.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 9 vocab, 2 grammar, 5 parsing, and 1 translation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Now, when you're dealing with a participle, what are the 2 ways to translate it?
Well, you use while or after, depending.
While or after is one way. Yeah, that's if you were translating, if it makes sense in context for it to be temporal, then you
Okay.
then you would translate it while or after.
Okay.
So while I was eating a sandwich, I
Right.
kicked my son, or
Mm-hmm.
after I ate my sandwich, I kicked my son. So yeah,
Right.
you can use it in a temporal way. What's another way?
Continuous or undefined, depending on if it's present or aorist.
Right, and in general, with a participle, we would just make it turn it into kind of a gerund with ing at the
Right.
end. So eating, or drinking, or something like that. Those are all appropriate ways to translate as well. The thing about a participle is it's amazingly fluid. It participle, the way you translate a participle is never clear. And it's not clear on purpose, because participles are those things that the writers use that amplify context. And so
So,
so
sorry.
your context is going to dictate for you exactly how to translate your participle.
Okay. Sorry, someone's calling me. So, like, so would it either be
That's for you, I think.
I think so. Okay. So will it either be like what are the different ways you can translate it? Using ing or ed?
Yeah. So let's take, for instance, let's try one.
Okay.
Okay. Let me get a sheet of paper here. I'm going to try and do my best not to. Okay. All right. So let's do this thing. Pen. All right. Let's take. Okay. Can you parse? Give me
Okay.
a translation for that.
Oh, okay. Is that a gamma? Gan.
Yeah, that's gamma at the beginning.
Okay. Um. Okay. I know it's passive.
Okay, start with the case, number, tense, gender, mood, or
Okay.
voice, mood, lexical form.
Okay. Okay. Hold on. Psi. Okay, so I'm sorry. It's nominative, feminine.
Okay.
Um, I don't know what word this is.
Can you sound out the spelling?
Gnosthesi.
Okay. Can you guess just based on the consonants, probably what this word is?
Well, I think it's gnosko.
Okay. I would say that's a pretty good guess, and you should probably trust yourself on that one.
Okay.
So what is that theta confusing you? Because that theta should be identifying for you.
Yeah, that's why it says passive, and
Right.
it's aorist,
Right.
and
Singular or plural?
plural.
Yes.
Okay.
Now you've given me nominative plural, aorist feminine, passive participle, and it's a lexical form gnosko. Now translate it. Two acceptable forms of translation.
Um, I don't know. After they knew.
Wait a minute. You said this was a passive participle.
Okay, oh, after they were being known.
Okay, that's doubling up the two ways. But yeah, it can either be being known,
Okay.
okay, or after they were known.
Okay. All right. So it's either, say that again.
Being known,
Being known
yeah, or after they were known.
after they were known.
Yeah.
Is being known passive?
Well, remember, how can you tell if something is passive? If you can add by aliens at the end, it's passive.
Okay.
If you add by aliens and it doesn't sound right, besides the aliens part, if it doesn't sound right, then it's not passive. So being known by aliens
Is passive.
is passive. Yeah. After they were known by aliens, yeah, it's passive. But if I said,
After they knew.
yeah, they knew by aliens, you'd go, that's weird.
After
No.
they were known. Okay.
Yeah. So more spiritual people will say to put by God there, but I like by aliens.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
I like that too.
Yeah. So just remember, when you're writing out your inflected form, in order to just test your inflection as passive, make it by something, and if it can be done by something, then it's passive.
Okay.
So yeah, good little test there.
And
Okay, well, Aaron, that was good. You parsed it perfect. And you either do the gerund part where you say being known, or you do the temporal thing and say after they were known.
Okay.
Yep. So, and yeah, anyway, I'm not going to get into the adjectival stuff. I think Dr. Briones is going to nail that adjectival aspects of the participle in the next class.
Okay.
And that's where things get exciting. Just like the adjective got weird and the noun, with all of its ways, the decision tree and all that stuff, how is it functioning? The participles have all of that stuff too.
Okay.
So
there's adjectival and what other one again? Adverbial?
Verbal, yeah. So it's a verbal adjective is what a participle is.
Right, but can it be?
Yeah, it's either adverbial in the sense that it's saying something helping the verb.
Right.
Or it's saying something to describe a noun. And so it's a verbal, it's leaning on its verbal function when it's modifying a verb. It's leaning on its adjectival function when it's modifying a noun.
Right, okay.
So, yeah. Perfect. All right. What now? You guys are in charge.
I mean, I would like to do more parsing.
Okay. All over that. I got a good one for you. Okay. Tear it up. Whoever's next.
Sharon, do you want to do this one?
No, I'm good for 2 weeks. No.
Good for 2 weeks. Hold on.
Okay.
I'm playing. I'll do it. I'm just trying to write.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Ooh, this one's different.
Yeah, this is a good one.
All right, I got it. Let me trying to figure it out.
Hold up.
Yeah. All right. Let me see here. Can you leave me alone? All right. On to. All right, I have nominative, plural, neuter, Yeah.
What was the first thing you said, Sharon?
Nominative.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Nominative for neuter. What's next? I mean, missing stuff. Active, second aorist, participle from anabano.
And a bino. Okay.
Okay. Now, how to say this?
Why would you say this is second aorist, Sharon?
What?
Why would you say it's second aorist?
I don't know. It's in my book.
It's in your book.
Well, from the it's active. It's the unaugmented, the connecting vowel, which is the omicron, and then the participle morpheme, and then the case ending.
True, but in order for it to be second aorist, it has to have an altered tense stem. You kind of like Balo there. It dropped a lambda.
Mm-hmm.
This one needs to have something have changed, and I don't see anything that's changed. So that would mean what?
That I don't know the answer.
It would mean that it's not aorist, and you've only learned one other participle.
Well, isn't it all in the same chapter?
Yeah, but you're responsible for everything that you know before this chapter.
Answer.
What's the other? What did you learn last week?
Present. Last week. What was last week? Learned a lot last week.
More specifically, what is chapter 27 about?
Oh, last week. Present.
Okay. I think this is better explained as a present participle.
Hold on. I'm looking. I have to refresh my memory.
Okay.
Again. And again.
No worries.
Oh, okay.
It's good we went through this, Sharon, because a
I would have got it wrong again. It's all good.
no, it's okay. A present participle and a second aorist are going to have the same endings. The difference is a second aorist, the tense stem is different than the way you know it in your vocab. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So how would you translate it? And by the way, don't forget that this can be nominative or accusative. Because it's neuter, and neuter has the same ending, nominative or accusative.
Oh, yeah, right.
Not asking for nothing. Go.
All right, so you know how to inflect it?
You went. What it means. This is I go to go. I go. Hush. I get some help. Now that I actually can ask for some help. I think is I went to. I mean, he went to. I'm not. I don't know. Present. Hush.
There's somebody there.
Yeah. Someone help me.
Yeah, hey, Aaron. How would you inflect it?
While going up.
While going up? Yep. While they went up, sure. Or going up? Yeah, absolutely.
Can you hear that noise?
The dinging?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know who that is.
It's
Is that
me.
you or me?
It's me. I don't know how to turn it off.
No. Okay. It's all right. Don't worry about it. Okay, good. So that one was a good one because it's that second it's the present that we just learned the second aorist, and you need to be careful that you don't get confused.
Yeah, because there's no tense formative.
Right. No tense formative, and so it means it can look a lot like the present. with no tense formative.
It can look a lot like the.
The present.
It is the present, right?
Well, it is the present. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was talking about the second aorist. We learned the second aorist today, and because there's no augment, the second aorist all of a sudden looks a lot like the present, except for it's got a different stem.
Right.
Yeah. So it just means that there's one less identifying feature between the aorist and the present with the augment gone.
Right. But if you have the tense formative, that's the key.
What tense formative? What are you talking about?
For the aorist.
Yeah, but in the second aorist, you don't have a tense formative. That's my point.
Oh. Why?
Was it while going up? What was it?
Yeah. While they went up or going up. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, if you look, Aaron, at the difference between what's on page 263 at the top and what's on page 247 at the bottom, you're going to find that they look almost identical.
That really sucks.
Yeah, the only difference is that instead of 2 lambdas, there's 1, and that's how you know that's second aorist.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's fun and exciting.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. Yeah, so I'm really glad this one came up because don't get confused on that.
What's the aorist tense for this verb?
What's the what?
The aorist tense to this verb.
It would be a first aorist. You would, if you saw this in the aorist.
Yeah,
bino. Yeah, I think you would see sigma alpha. I think this would be a first aorist.
Okay, you see the tense formative.
I would think so. It's either a tense formative or you're going to see that this stem changes. It's one or the other.
Okay.
Okay. So this is where again I stress vocab. If you know your vocab, you're not going to get tricked. If you don't know your vocab, you might goof these up.
Okay.
You understand? Cool. All right, we doing more of this?
Yes.
Okay. All right, here we go.
Okay. I like to write it down. Pistu. Okay. All right. So I instantly look at the theta and the ending, and I know it's a participle because it's a verb tense, it's a verb stem and a noun ending. I know it's passive because of the theta.
Good.
And it's nominative, nominative plural, aorist, masculine, passive participle.
Good. From which verb?
Pistuo.
Good. Now, how would you inflect it?
After they were done.
What does pistuo mean?
I do.
No, that would be poieto.
Oh.
Pistuo would be.
Sorry. After they were, after they believed, after they.
After they were believed, because remember it's passive. It has to be by aliens.
After they were.
After they believed by aliens doesn't work.
Right.
After they were believed by aliens.
Okay.
Okay, good job. Yeah, Kate did tell me that people are struggling with forming the passive, so you guys just need to give a little bit of extra thought on forming that passive.
Yeah.
So, and remember, was is not a was itself as a helping verb is not, or as a, anyway, was not is not just doesn't just make it passive. That actually
Makes it just past tense.
it makes it past tense, not passive. So a lot of people put was in there thinking that makes it passive, and it's not. That's not the way that works. All right. Hey, man. We are. What time? Sorry, guys. I've got another Greek student walking in the room. So this is James. James, this is the Greek classic Gordon Conwell. Some of them were
way more advanced than me.
We're recording a touring video. So, what time Thursday?
6
A.M.ish?
No,
P.M.ish?
Yeah.
6 p.m. We're doing this in the evening. That's good for me to know.
Or we can do it in the AM. Right?
I don't care. Doesn't matter to me.
6 a.m. has to be 8.
8. Okay, we'll figure it out. Okay. Sorry, guys. Okay, I got another one. This is fun.
What the world?
Okay.
This is for you, Sharon.
More. Oh, I spelled that wrong. More. Oh my gosh. Okay. Here we go.
All right, kill it.
Yeah, I'm gonna kill it all right. Butcher it. Okay. Okay. Hold on. Gotta work my way through this. All right. So, Martyr Santes.
Okay.
Okay, I got that. So, that's Sigma Alpha.
That's good. That's good. Good recognition. That gives you a little bit of information to work with.
Yeah. All right. Antes. So I'm gonna say it is a from the ending Santes. I'm gonna say it's the nominative plural martyr. Am I doing this right? Hold on. Martyret. Martyreo. A. Be elongated. And
So what do you think the word is, Sharon?
please tell me I'm not wrong. I don't know how to say it. Is it Martyreo?
Yeah, martyreo.
Okay.
Why is that eta there?
That's what I said. It looked like I just stopped myself. It looked like it lengthened.
Okay, why did it lengthen?
Why did it lengthen?
Because this verb is a certain kind of verb. What kind of verb is it? Begins with a C and ends with an entr'acte verb.
Contract.
Good, yeah. Contract verb. And because it's a contract verb, it's normal for the contract vowel to lengthen when the ending comes to it. Make sense? So that eta isn't doing anything goofy. It's just doing what it normally does.
One the contract. Okay.
Yeah. So I wouldn't worry too much about the eta. I'd continue on with the ending. So you're right, though. It's martyreo.
So, nominative plural. masculine.
Right.
Masculine. The make sure I'm on this right. Participle. Aorist. Active.
Good. Aorist active participle. Good. So it's a nominative plural, masculine, aorist active participle. From martireo. Now, how do you inflect it?
It's a oh Lord. While they were no wait no pass it.
You got it.
It's defined while they while they testified.
Okay, that's good. But is it present or aorist?
It's aorist.
It's aorist. So is while the appropriate temporal verb or word, or is it after?
It's after they testified.
Yeah, if it's present, then you would say while.
Okay.
But because it's aorist, it would be after they testified, or you could just translate it as testifying. Because just putting the gerund, the ing on it works. Making it a gerund, I guess, yeah.
Okay.
So that was a good one too. Good job, guys. Got it worked out. I'm not gonna lie, it took me like 10 minutes maybe in this video to realize that that's actually a picture of Eric at the bottom of the screen. For a while, I was like, man, that guy sits stiller than anyone else I've ever met in my life. But that's actually a picture of you, Eric. That's not actually you. So
It does look very real, Eric.
yeah, it's very realistic.
It's very excellent.
Great. Okay, so what else do we want to cover? So if I were to ask you what the verbal aspect of an aorist participle is, what would you say?
Undefined.
A
You're
verbal.
on it.
Wait, no. See that? No, Sharon, you're too smart. Hold on.
No, I got that question last week and I felt like an idiot, so I made sure I understood it this time.
Say, ask it again.
What is the verbal aspect of an aorist participle?
So it's what we were talking about earlier.
Right.
Yes, or undefined.
Well, it's defined or undefined. The continuous completed thing would be what is the action of it, but the aspect is undefined.
I guess I just get confused with like the word. In my mind, undefined means ambiguous.
And that's exactly what. Okay, good. That's exactly what it's trying to say. It's trying to say the aorist doesn't care. The aorist does not care. The aorist is not trying to give you any information. It's actually ambiguous when it comes to the action of the word. All it's trying to do is tell you this action happened. It's completed. This is it. But make sure that you don't think completed when answering this question. You think undefined. Okay? As a matter of fact, I was just you might even want to write that down. Like, don't think completed. Think undefined.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like when Jesus says it is finished, what tense is that in?
Oh, see, that's really different. When Jesus says it is finished, that's actually a perfect.
Okay.
Why is that important that it's a perfect?
Because it's past action that has future implications.
Right. And so when Jesus says it is finished, it's a completed action that has continuous effect on the future.
Right. So I guess with an aorist, it's so there's continuous and what? And completed?
Yes, those would be the opposites of each other. Yes, continuous and complete.
And what kind of what is that called? Is that the aspect?
It's a part of the aspect, but please don't think about that for this quiz.
Okay.
Don't use language like completed and continuous. Use
Right.
language
So
like
that-
undefined.
So there's that aspect, and then there's also defined and undefined. I'm just trying to create categories.
Right. Good.
So defined means what?
Defined means that it's actually telling you. Like a continuous action would be a defined action. It's telling you this is happening. This is the movement. This is what's going on. Right. Undefined would be just all it's trying to tell you is this is an action.
Okay.
I'm not giving you any more information. It's ambiguous. It's undefined.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so, yeah.
So why do we always think of aorist in the past tense then?
Because in the regular logical brain, a completed action means it's done. So it means it's in the past. So generally, when we're talking normal verbs, we just normally, for the sake of it, put aorist in the past. But what you're going to learn in interp and exegesis is that that's not always the case.
Okay.
Yeah, and that aorist actually has a little bit more meaning than that. However, aorist is the, that's the go-to verbal conjugation, is aorist. That's what's used in normal speech.
Mm-hmm.
Present is used every once in a while to tell you, this is continuously happening, and it's used pretty regularly.
Mm-hmm.
But if a writer puts something in the perfect, pay attention because they consciously put it in that verbal structure for a reason.
Okay. Say that again. I'm sorry.
Really? The whole thing?
No, it's okay. I'll rewatch it. I'm just distracted by my phone right now, and it's making me very angry.
Okay. All right.
I'll just rewatch it. You're good.
Yeah. Okay. So perfect. And then your translation. You guys have got this. You're on translation. Not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But remember, the book did talk about, in the introduction to participles, that the participle itself has like a phrase. And it's important to define the beginning and the end of that phrase. And so you just have to identify what is going with the participle and what's not. So, other than that, guys, you've pretty much, know your vocab, know your vocab, know your vocab. And other than that, it's easy. You got it covered. Do you guys want to talk interp stuff, discourse stuff, or do you want to talk workbook? Or do you want to talk midterm? When are you actually taking your midterm?
I don't know. Oh, I know.
Do you guys know when your midterm is?
I don't.
No?
Yes.
Yes.
Term is, what is that, 24 February?
Oh. 24th of February?
Yeah.
Girl, that's coming up. Well, guys, we will start taking a little bit of time at the end of each tutoring session, and we'll go over midterm stuff.
Oh, that sounds great. Thank you.
Because I got midterm up in here. And I just want to make sure you guys are prepared. So, we'll do that. But we wanted to talk discourse based on some people's questions and concerns. What specifically would you like to talk about within discourse analyses?
Wait, are we doing interp?
Yeah, we said at the end of each video we may take a little bit of time for some interp stuff.
Oh, Lord Jesus, I'm not prepared.
You're not prepared for that? Okay, hold on 1 second, okay?
Sharon,
Aaron.
you know how to disengage the sound that messages makes on your iPhone?
Yeah, I'll text you.
Okay. But it's gonna ding again.
Hold on.
Okay. All right, so your assignments, you have Are you assigned a discourse analysis by the next class?
Yes.
Okay. So in that assignment, are you required to do an annotated translation?
Eric, do you know if we're supposed to do annotated translation? I don't even know what that means.
I'm checking the assignment. I don't remember.
Yes, I think. Yeah.
Like, what do you mean by that, Joseph?
Okay, an annotated translation is basically doing a translation, and you make notes on your translation that that talk about all the reasons why you translated what you translated, all of those types of things.
No.
I don't think so.
No.
I do remember him at the end of the after. Didn't he say Sharon to write like a little paragraph?
Yeah, you'd write a conclusion based on the movement of the
On there.
text.
Okay, there you go. He said to do the translation. We have to. What is the word called? Now I'm trying to remember what he said. Either do the translation and do that. What was that? The bracketing. What?
Yeah, discourse.
Discourse. Yeah, that. He didn't really say anything about why we chose to.
Yeah.
Okay, so he did. You're not doing annotated yet. That's fine.
We're not annotating.
Just the first 4 steps.
Okay. So you need to do sentence flow.
Yeah.
And discourse.
Yeah.
And you need to do your translation, sentence flow, discourse, and then you need to have a conclusion that just kind of lays out where you think, how you think Paul is flowing, what the main point of the top passage is, and what the thrust is.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So you guys have got that. That's not a big deal. Do you have a text critical assignment due by the next class?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, how's that going?
I'm very confused on that. I don't know if everyone else is.
Okay. Would it be helpful if we scheduled a time, or if I just made a video walking through a different verse and doing the text critical aspects of that verse may be helpful, because it would kind of show you guys what you're supposed to be doing and how to fill out that chart that he gave you.
Yeah, that would be really helpful.
Okay, maybe I can work on that. I'll email him and see if that would be helpful.
Okay.
See if he wants me to. There's a certain part of this interp class, by the way, that you guys need to struggle with, because it's an immense amount of your growing and trusting yourself with the text.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've got to balance that line of, I don't want to walk you through too much, but I don't want you drowning either.
I do want to be spoon-fed.
Yes, I understand the spoon-fed thing. And I wanted it too, and he did not give it to me. Yeah.
Well, I guess my question was, I was reading Fee's book, and I found it to be overwhelming, and I was trying to understand how he lined up each proposition.
Okay. His is a little bit different.
Yeah, and I didn't understand. I was trying to. I mean, I think the hard part is that this is my first time ever seeing anything like this, and then trying to break down sentences in this way, like.
Okay, now he actually does sentence diagramming, right? Yeah, the structural analysis. Now he's gonna. Palmer should have told you that he doesn't want you to do it the way Fee does it.
Well, okay. Can we turn to the Fee book and see?
Yeah, I'm on it. It's page 42, 43.
42.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is this not what? I mean, it looks very similar to him, but
it does, but it's not what you're doing. Palmer's simplifying the process for you.
Okay.
All Palmer wants you to do is he wants you to come up with the main propositions of the text.
Okay.
And create a flow. He doesn't want you doing all of this ridiculous, breaking each genitive down underneath, each prepositional phrase on its own. That's not what he's looking for. He's looking for something more simple. I printed out one of my discourse assignments from his class.
Did you? Oh no, never mind.
Did I what?
Never mind.
Okay. This is a discourse assignment, and you can see that the text breakdown is more just a single indent. Only very few times does it get a larger indent than that.
So you literally just take each proposition and break it down.
Yes, that's
And
all I did. And basically, your indents mean
yeah.
that the phrase is dependent on the main statement.
Okay. So it's like, Paul went here, blah, 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 according to, then you end it.
Right. So, yeah. So, yeah, I don't know what to, unfortunately, this is where Greek, the laborious task of the integral rules of Greek meets art, because discourse is very much an art.
Yeah, that's
Thinking about it. It's breaking it down and asking the question, well, what's the main point of this phrase and what are the subpoints of that phrase?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's very much of an art.
So can we just walk through the 4 steps real fast?
Okay. What did he give you? I really need to look at the assignment. Let me look really quick on that.
I don't think he's uploaded the assignment.
He hasn't?
It's on our syllabus. It's
Yeah,
in our
that's what
syllabus.
I was going to look at. I was going to look at the syllabus.
Well, he changed it.
Right, but I think he just narrowed your scripture text. I don't think he changed his requirements.
Yeah.
Yeah. He told us about that.
Is he gonna send like a email clarifying all that, Sharon? Do y'all remember, or Eric?
I have no clue.
Okay.
I don't think so.
I just wrote it down. When you finish with that, can you explain how you did all those lines on your Word document?
Yeah, it's a
Tedious journey.
yeah, I mean, just in the Word document, I had to indent everything over really far, and then in the Word document, there's a line, and I just copied and pasted that line a billion times, and you can stretch it as short or as far as you want. And I just pulled it, then did one vertical, and then did one.
You are so right. That's right. Oh, never mind. Duh. I've used that plenty of times. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you've done that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a line that with my mouse I just clicked around and drug it places. So, okay. So detailed discussion, practice, read, begin text criticism assignment and sentence flow and discourse analysis number 1. Submit on Sakai for date stamp and turn in hard copy before class on February 26th. Yay! Okay, so your text criticism, you said what? Assignment 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Better use assignment 1 and 2. Okay, assignment 1. So he narrowed your text. Is it just the John and Romans?
Mm-hmm. I can't remember what it is, honestly.
Yeah, I think it's John and Romans, and you do text criticism on one and sentence flow on another, and discourse.
Wait, no. Wait.
Maybe I'm wrong about that.
John 20, 30 through 31, and Romans 5 and 1 for the text criticism, and Matthew 7, 24 through 29 for the gospel, and then
Romans for the epistle? Is it what you do, Romans?
Is that what you have, Aaron?
I have to look through my notes.
Going back to my other
All right, I'll email him and clarify, and I'll send out a class email. Yeah, so
That would be helpful, Joseph.
yeah. Make a sentence flow of your passage in Greek and then in English showing grammatical subordination and the flow of thought using the method illustrated in Phi. Do not use his brackets, but the straight brackets we've used in class.
So we
Okay.
said to use Phi?
He's saying subordination and the flow of thought using the method illustrated in Phi. So you would Phi is giving you a good guideline. He's not wanting you to break it down in detail like Phi does.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
But the ideas that Phi presents are the ideas you're working with.
yeah, but like for sub on page 43, subordinate by indentation.
Yeah.
He does like this weird thing with the adverbial modifiers. He puts it in between. We give thanks always to God. Like, I don't understand what he's doing there. Like, why is there a... Does that make sense, Joseph, I'm asking?
I do.
I don't understand that.
I wouldn't worry about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Because he does that with all the prepositional phrases and genitives and so
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I would not manipulate the words or the structure of the sentence. Palmer, I know Palmer, he's not going to want you to do that.
Okay.
So he's going to want you to let the text be the text.
Mm-hmm.
What you need to do is, as you read the text, hit the enter key and the indent button.
Okay.
Don't mess with necessarily the flow of the words.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. And don't think that's what he's wanting.
Okay.
That's not what I did, and I got A's on everything
Okay.
in this class. So, and by the way, me getting A's and everything is not a bragging, okay? Palmer is very gracious, and he knows this is your first time doing this.
Okay.
And Palmer's wanting you to increase in your love for the Word of God, not bog you down with the details of how much we don't know.
Right.
So he's very gracious. He's going to encourage you in all this, but you've just got to give it your best effort.
Yeah.
So the things like you can see in my discourse, you'll start realizing there's words that'll help you, like haughty clauses.
Right.
Those always get demoted and indented.
Right.
Okay? Any conjunctions, buts, ands, rathers, those always drop down and get indented. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so you'll start seeing that those are typical things. Another haughty clause here. You'll start seeing those are more things that start getting indented. A lot of times you can drop a prepositional phrase down or a relative clause down and indent those things because they're subordinate to the clause before it.
Okay.
So it's really an artistic ordeal. The catch is, and he should have given you on Sakai a bunch of
yes.
like a guide for
Yeah.
labeling. Okay, yeah, that's a labor also, by the way. Can you hold that up again, Aaron? Yeah. Yes, that's a labor also because you've got to start. Thank you. You got to start making weird decisions like, is this coordinate or is it subordinate?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not. It's never as clear as what that sheet will make it want to be. But is this a inference or is it a ground or what's happening here?
Okay.
And so, yeah.
Can I talk through these 4 steps with you?
Yeah. What are the 4 steps?
Okay. So step 1 is survey the historical context in general, and basically, that's on page 6. So how I understood that was that he said to read the entire book
Right.
multiple times and trying to gather as much information as you can.
Okay.
And then step 2 would be confirm the limits of the passage.
Right.
So I guess if you're going to pick a text, making sure it's completed thought flow. Would that be?
Yeah, I mean, confirm the limits. Essentially, what he's thinking is pick up your NA28, pick up your UBS, look in it, and make sure that the original Greek is breaking it, or the Greek texts are breaking it there as well.
Do they do that in the Greek?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, you always want to check that. You want to check that. So, hold on a second. Yeah, hold on a second. I have my UBS here, and when I went.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yes, they do break it. Okay.
Yeah, and when I went to my, for instance, my Romans passage I did for my final exegesis, I had to confirm the limits of my passage by saying that And actually, I think mine had a difference between the UBS and the NA28. Do you have the NA28 there in front of you, Aaron?
I just have I think it's the UBS. How do you know if
Okay,
it's
well, I've got the UBS, yeah. But as I chose verse 12
Uh-huh.
and I took it all the way to the end of the chapter. But that's confirming the limits of my passage. Yes, that is one section in the Greek. And so you'd want to confirm that. Sometimes in your English Bible, it's not as clear. So what you want is you don't want to begin your passage in the middle of a thought.
Right.
And you don't want to end it before the thought's been completed.
Right.
So you want to be able to confirm your limits by saying, all right, are we on to a new thought, and when does that thought end? That's the completion. And generally, you lean on your original text, your NA28, your UBS, to help you make that decision.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with step 3, become thoroughly acquainted with your paragraph/periscope. Honestly, I can't really remember this step.
I love that you just said periscope.
Oh, wait, no. How do you say that word?
Paracoat.
It's not pericope either. I'll be honest with you. I made this mistake for a long time. I said pericope, and then I got massively corrected by my exegesis teacher. So that you guys feel smart with all the other teachers and stuff, know that word is pericope. Yeah, just know it is.
That is so bad.
Yeah.
Pericope? What does that mean?
It means your section, and generally it's used for narrative, but it can be used for anything. But your paragraph or your pericope means like a unit of a section, a unit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Sharon, do you remember what he talked about with step 3?
Mm-mm. Step 3.
That's more of translating it.
Okay.
So your step 1 is survey historical context. In your exegesis paper, you're going to want to read through the book in English like 4 or 5 times. You're going to want to get the whole, basically, where is he going from begin to end? I want to be able to think through the book. This is how he starts in chapter 1, and by the end, this is where he goes with his argument. I want to just be able to think through the whole thing. Okay?
Yeah.
Also, in that step, you're going to want to pick up books like your Ferguson book. And you're going to want to pick up those historical backgrounds. F.F. Bruce has a great one. Historical backgrounds and other books that you're going to want to read through and learn about what's going on during the time that Paul is writing Romans. Or so you're going to learn things like when Paul was writing Romans, he's responding to Jews flooding back in to Rome after the death of Claudius. And they're coming back in because Claudius died, and Claudius had an edict kicking the Jews out of Rome. Well, as they come back in a pipeline to Rome, the Jews and the Gentiles start arguing about who is in charge of the church. And that actually gives the foundation for the book of Romans. So you want to be able to address. So when you're doing your exegesis paper, that's all part of step 1, surveying the historical context in general.
Okay.
Just reading some books about history, reading what's going on, reading the entire book multiple times, and then confirm the limits of your passage. You're gonna pick which section you're gonna write your exegesis paper on, and you're gonna confirm it's from this verse to this verse, and this is my section, and it's a clear section of thought, and this is what I'm gonna do on it. Become thoroughly acquainted with your paragraph or pericope. This is when you're going to translate your passage, and you're gonna learn the intrinsic ins and outs. This is the language that's being used. This is generally when, and he'll teach you this, generally when you're going to make your annotated translation. Right now he just has you translate it. But this is when you're going to make your annotated translation, and you're going to learn all the intrinsic, this is what this participle's doing, this is what these things are doing, and you're going to go through all of that. And then step 4 is to break down the sentence structure and analyze the syntactical relationships.
So I guess when you say translate in step 3, are you going from Greek to English or English to Greek?
Greek to English.
Okay, I'm like, are we going to start writing in Greek here? So we're reading. So step 3 is when I actually get to the Greek.
Yeah, yeah. Step 3, pull out the Greek and start translating through. And I guess step 6 probably would be when he gets to the annotated translation and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's helpful.
Okay.
And then at the end, he just wants us to write a paragraph on the thought flow, I guess.
Right, and I'll read you the paragraph I wrote in this Romans 6 so that you kind of get an idea of what he's looking for.
Okay.
Okay, I just wrote, it's literally a short paragraph. I just said, Paul strategically moves the argument toward the logical conclusion that the benefits of life, or of the life lived in righteousness, far outweigh those of the life lived in sin. Paul has already laid the groundwork for the argument that sin has been defeated in the work of righteousness in Christ in chapter 5.
Mm-hmm.
So why should we be concerned with sinning or not sinning? If the work of Christ has justified us, and it is not the work of the law, then what is the difference? Paul begins to answer that question in this very section, arguing on the foundation of being a slave servant to righteousness. This points back to the reign language used in the earlier verses. Death reigned from Adam until Moses, 5:14, and the implication is that everyone was forced to bow to the power of the reign of sin and death. Because of the sin of Adam, all became slave servants of sin and death. Now we have been freed from the reign of sin and have become slave servants of righteousness. It is not the same as the oppression before. Rather, it is the freeing result in eternal life. And so that's all I wrote. And it's just a short paragraph saying, this is, after doing all this work, this is the main thrust of what Paul is saying, and this is where his argument is taking it.
Got it.
Yeah.
Is that one of your assignments or a paper that you turned in?
No, this is just a assignment with annotated translation, which is all this footnotes at the bottom, and the discourse, and then the conclusion.
Okay.
Yep, that's just one of the assignments. So, and that was an assignment for Palmer. So.
Did it take
Yeah.
too long to do that?
Yeah, it takes a while. It's a burden because you got to learn how to use it. I think he'll accept it if you don't want to sit on the computer and try and draw out lines on your computer. You can build the sentence flow and then print it out. I know Jake, my associate pastor here, he did his with a pen and just drew lines and drew the things and then scanned them in and sent them to him. So that works too. So don't feel like you got to kill yourself to get that done. But I'm anal, so I did it on a computer. But yeah, but it did take a little while. You got to wrestle with the language. Plus, I was still in the mode of I want to be able to read this straight out of the Greek Bible, so I labored over every word and everything, and it took me probably a lot longer than what it should have taken any normal person. But you don't have to do it that way. It's not necessary. Other people did it a quarter of my amount of time and made A's, as well as anybody else did. So it needs whatever you're going to put into it. But you are right now. You're dealing with the very Word of God, and as far as I'm concerned, it couldn't receive enough attention or enough labor from you. It is the Word of God, and this is not just an assignment. These are not just courses that you've got to get through to get a degree. This is literally the benefit of the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And I'll stop my pastor preaching stuff.
No,
that truly is this. There is not a limit to the amount of labor that you could put into these assignments, because when the rubber meets the road, this is not grammar anymore. This is the Word of God, and this is you falling in love with it and learning the intrinsic natures and the profoundness of what it is. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll just talk to him about confirming the assignments and maybe doing an example of a textual criticism.
Sure. And I'll talk with him about whether I make that video or not, and I'll send out an email to everybody. I'll also say that if there's anybody who still has questions about discourse, or if you do your discourse and you want to send it to me, and I'll take a look at it and send you back any comments or questions or things like that to help you think through things, I'm willing to do that as well. So, but if anybody else has questions about discourse or about the textual criticism, don't feel like you're out there in the middle of the ocean all alone. I'll help you. I may not rescue you completely, but I'll help you as you're struggling.
Good cup, bad cup thing. I thought we had a
there you go. Sure. All right, guys. Well, I am going to have to sign off. I've got a counseling appointment, so I need
Thanks
some.
very much.
All right. See you guys.
Bye.